Israel. Israel is the Hebrew name Israel, meaning God contends, or the one who struggles with God. God gives this name to Abraham's grandson, Jacob, after he spends the night wrestling with God. Later, Israel is given to Jacob's descendants and to the nation that they will eventually form. But Israel is not just an extended family that became a nation. What made Israel unique is that God was using them to further his plan of redemption for the whole human race. This plan started with an individual, Abraham, and God did not call Abraham because he was stronger or smarter or richer than any other people of the world. What set Abraham apart was that he responded to God and he believed and he was faithful to obey. Furthered this plan of redemption by calling a people, the descendants of Abraham, his grandson Jacob. And when God called Israel, it was not only because they were a strong people or a wealthy people or even a people that worshipped him. Israel was not even a nation. They were slaves in Egypt. But God had a plan for Israel. He delivered them from the Egyptian slavery. He made a covenant with them at Mount Sinai. And that covenant in which he promised to be their God if they would only obey him. And God brought them into a land that was already populated and caused them to claim the land as their own. And then God instructed them in how to worship, how to live in community, and how to be a holy people. And God did not do this because they were worthy. By far, they were not worthy in any way. They were far from it. He proved time and time again that he would do this because he had a plan. So what was God's plan for Israel? What was his purpose in taking the slave people and making a nation out of them, and continuing to put up with their rebellious nature for hundreds of years? I believe that if we go back to God's encounter with Israel at Mount Sinai, we'll find the answer to that question. In Exodus, it's found an invitation to Israel to join him. Now, if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all the nations, you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. And as this kingdom of priests, they would have the task of representing to the nations. They were a people that God intended to use to further his work of redemption throughout humanity. In general, Israel failed as God's representative in the world. They even failed in keeping God's covenant. As a result, God destroyed them as a nation and sending them into exile before bringing some of them back to the land and seemingly starting over again. Israel was a demonstration that no matter what God does for a people, we will rebel against him. Isn't it good that we serve a God of mercy and compassion? I know that restoration is the theme throughout the whole Bible. Specifically, we see the restoration as it relates to Israel. God declares through the prophet Jeremiah, I will restore your fortunes and gather you from all the nations and all the places where I have driven you, declares the Lord. Nearly every Hebrew prophet foresaw a time when God would restore the fortunes of the Jewish people following a long period of exile, of destitution and oppression. Indeed, they would return from all the countries where God scattered them. He would plant them back in the land of their fathers, and they would rebuild the ancient cities. They would turn the desert into a blossoming garden. God would increase them in numbers, and most importantly, God would restore his people not only physically, but also spiritually.
너희의 여호와 하나님 내게 준 약속 한순간도 잊은 적 없고 다시 너희를 이스라엘로